I think we might have just witnessed a Christmas miracle. It's been 4 years, 168 days, and approximately 10 hours since Season 2 was first announced, making us think YOUJO Senki was right around the corner. I mean, at the time of announcement, it had only been a year and a half since the movie was released, and before that, Season 1 had aired only 2 years prior. So, as far as any of us were concerned, the continued release of YOUJO Senki was looking promising. 2023 was looking like the perfect window for it. Fast forward to 2025, and for the past 4 years, not a single word has been said about it. There were no trailers, no visuals, and not even an update. Just complete silence, leaving us wondering whether Season 2 was even gonna happen anymore. There was the Operation Desert Pasta ONA released shortly after the movie, but aside from that and the movie's eventual release on Blu-ray, no official statements were made whatsoever. In fact, the most recent news we got was actually in the form of a leak. Back in early 2025, a Canadian animator who was working with Studio Nut accidentally leaked in one of his own YouTube videos YOUJO Senki was coming out in 2026. I believe said clip is now removed, but considering his position and past experience with other anime, there was no reason not to believe his statement was true. The video itself is a very good watch as well, so if you want to see an inside look as to how anime is made, I highly recommend checking Dongchang's channel out. Such a leak was still a leak though, so even if 2026 did turn out to be true, there was always the chance some behind-the-scenes issues could cause production to be delayed again. Luckily, that wasn't the case, but after 4 years, this was the only information we had to go off of. That is, until just recently. When all hope was seeming lost, on a random Saturday in November, the unexpected happened. YOUJO Senki's website updated with official confirmation Season 2 was in fact coming out in 2026. Not only that, along with it was a brand new visual and even a teaser trailer. Unfortunately, the teaser doesn't really show much, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't even have any footage of Season 2 at all. That's never really a good sign, but if you're wondering whether we're on the cusp of another One Punch Man Season 3, I'm fairly certain we have nothing to worry about. It's not like YOUJO Senki was dropped into Studio Nut's lap only 6 months ago, and as one of the poster childs for Kadokawa's Isekai Quartet, I highly doubt they'd go out of their way to butcher it with a rushed adaptation. If I had to guess as to why the radio silence remained for the past 4 years then, it could be something related to the change in director. You see, it was back in 2021 that the director was stated to be Yutaka Uemura, the same person who directed Season 1 and the movie. With the new information released just a couple days ago though, Yutaka Uemura is no longer on the cast list. Instead, the director is now Takayuki Yamamoto, a person with less experience in the position, but has been the episode director for quite a few notable series like Bungo Stray Dogs, Sukasuka, and My Hero Academia. This will be their first time helming a series as the core director, but I'm sure they'll do the best job they can with it. That said, considering how the previously committed Season 1 director is no longer part of the project anymore, perhaps that was the reason for the lengthy time period between announcement and release date. Now, as important as the director position is, the reason I'm not too concerned with how Season 2 will turn out is because much of the core staff are in fact returning. Everyone from the chief animation director and character designer, all the way to the person who oversees the series composition and script, are the same people who worked on Season 1 and the movie. So even if the director is different, with much of the previous staff returning, I'm pretty confident they can do a good job together. At the very least, we should wait for actual Season 2 footage before making any assumptions. Now, as for what Season 2 will cover, there's no doubt the anime will be a direct continuation to the movie, but the movie did make it clear the production was taking quite a few liberties with the order. I'm not just talking 1 or 2 chapters out of place, I'm talking the stitching together of scenes from different chapters in different volumes. So where one scene will be Chapter 5 from Volume 1, the next will be Chapter 6 in Volume 3. Or where this was Chapter 2 in Volume 4, not 2 minutes later was the prologue from Volume 5. Despite those interesting changes, somehow the movie still managed to make an enjoyable, coherent plot out of it. That said, if you're going into this expecting a complete one-to-one adaptation, I don't think that's very likely. Not every anime can be as faithful as Re:Zero. Still, that does mean you have to watch the movie, so if you haven't seen that yet, now's a good time to do so. You can also watch Isekai Quartet to get more insight into the characters, as that to me was really the only thing keeping YOUJO Senki alive. I'm not saying Isekai Quartet is the only reason YOUJO Senki survived this long, but I'm sure it did help in keeping it relevant. But yeah, that's all the news so far on YOUJO Senki Season 2. There is no release date other than 2026, so realistically it can be as soon as this January or as late as next October. My guess is it'd be sooner rather than later, probably slated for this spring or the summer. And if it does turn out to be either of those, then that means it'll be airing alongside Re:Zero or Mushoku Tensei. To switch things up with Re:Zero now, a couple weeks ago we were given our first glimpse into Season 4. That and an official confirmation it'll be coming out in April. Now, I don't know about you, but whatever Subaru seems to be up against this season, it looks like we'll be returning back to despair for a bit. It's a change in pace I'm actually looking forward to. I'm not saying I don't enjoy seeing our boy win, but after last season's lengthy triumph against all the archbishops, I think we're long overdue for some loops of struggle. The opening scene looks very arduous in particular, putting Subaru in a peculiar fight against Ram. For me though, I'm most intrigued by the setting, as a desert like this is far different from anything we've seen before. According to the synopsis, in his search for a way to save Ram, Julius, and Krush, Subaru finds himself seeking for an all-seeing, all-knowledgeable being known as Shala. This takes him to the Pleiades Watchtower, the supposed home to this wise man of the desert. That said, this desert is a place so volatile that even Reinhardt failed to conquer it. So, with Subaru taking it on with far less allies than before, there's bound to be quite a few hiccups along the way. Now, it's this arc that's widely considered to be one of Re:Zero's best, as it's apparently a culmination of everything that makes Re:Zero great. The narrative and storytelling is captivating, the character development reaches levels beyond anything we've seen already, and the intensity of the conflict is said to be greater than that of Season 2. The only way this becomes the best season for me though is if it somehow ends up being more emotional than Season 1, specifically Episode 18. So I'm very excited to see if they can make that happen. That said, for those who have read this arc before, many believe this will be the most difficult to adapt. I couldn't tell you why that is, but from what I've read online, it seems Teppei has created a very meticulous masterpiece with this one that could lose a lot of its impact when translated to the screen. Seeing as how White Fox is committed to adapting Re:Zero all the way through though, I'm fairly confident they'll do just fine with that. Plus, you can always come here for that extra cut content too. Now, as someone who's only read the novels up to the point where we are in the anime, if you want to see more of my thoughts based on only the events of the trailer, then let me know down in the comments. I've done it before with the Mushoku Tensei Season 3 trailer, so if that's something you're interested in for Re:Zero, then I can do that as well. Considering the highly complex nature of Re:Zero as a story though, I'm sure whatever analysis I come up with will be completely off. If anything, you'd probably just get a good laugh out of it. But anyway, that's a quick update on YOUJO Senki and Re:Zero. 2026 just became way more stacked, and I haven't even talked about all the other amazing anime coming out next year. I mean, even Winter on its own has quite the impressive lineup. So, though the past couple of seasons haven't had any anime I could really focus on, starting next year there'll be plenty. I'm hoping to start with Sentenced to be a Hero, create a couple videos in between for Fate Strange Fake and Frieren, then transition into Re:Zero once that comes out in April. There's also Wistoria and Witch Hat Atelier, then later on YOUJO Senki, Mushoku Tensei, and even potentially Tensura. So next year I'm locking in for you guys. I really want to get things organized and be more consistent with everything. In the meantime, feel free to check out my new Overlord cut content videos and expect new ones coming out soon. Until next time though, ciao.